our time with. It's interesting too, because there were some big parts of the country that had a spike in inventory starting in June, July last year, but they've already settled down. Arizona went from 6,000 homes for sale to 22,000 homes for sale. Now they're back down to 14,000 homes for sale, and they like 25 is the right number for them, right? And so what thought was going to be this boon in inventory coming to market was short-lived, and now it's back. It's literally back into being a seller's market again. So I really don't have anybody that I coach or any markets where they're flooded with inventory and it's not selling. I mean, we're in multiple offers across the country.
Wow.
Again.
Wow.
Right. So it just shows.
Basically, the Fed should keep raising rates, Tony.
Well, 2 years ago, Andrew, I think we were on. Well, we might have even been. I said I predict 8% interest rate, and everybody literally started wanting to like hang me to the cross, like they were going, "What are you talking about? You're ridiculous. That'll never happen in our life." Well, you can't argue with the inflation. You can't argue, right? We always have this thought. So in what everybody called the financial crisis in 2009, they loaned out $600 million. Okay. COVID, they loaned out $6 trillion, gave away. You cannot, 600 million in our financial meltdown and 6 trillion during COVID. You have to recover from that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like we always joke around and said, "Oh, well, everybody's complaining about 7% interest rate." Well, when are you going to start complaining about, $10 a gallon for gas if you're not careful?
Yeah, see, from my perspective, Tony, I have a lot of buyers coming for pre-approval. I mean, literally 6 or 7 a day want to buy a house. And I would say to everyone on this call, I don't get that many objections about the interest rate. If we talk about the monthly payment, if we talk about what the house is going to cost them to buy and then monthly, upfront and then their monthly cost, they're fine with it, Tony.
Yeah.
They're fine. It's really in our mind that we think the rate is an issue. The issue is there's 8 people that want to buy the same house in almost every circumstance. And sometimes there's 20, sometimes there's 5, but there's not enough supply. And so it's hard for buyers to win. And again, if there were more listings, which I know is what your presentation is surrounding, I think that makes all our lives a lot better.
For sure. For sure. Yep. No, I'm excited about it. Well, we're 4 after. Do you think we should dive in?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll just quickly say I'm Andrew Marquis with Cross Country Mortgage. I think I know most of you already. And we've got Tony from the Mike Ferry organization, Tony Smith. You're always dressed in a suit on camera, Tony. I love it.
Well, we suit and tie it up at Mike Ferry every single day. That's the way it is. Mike Ferry is old school that way. Yeah. In fact, our salespeople that sell tickets to our events wear a tie every day.
Yep.
And so it's just the tone that we hold. So
Tony, I think for everyone is going to have some very valuable content about how to increase your listing exposure, how to compete better with other agents for those listings, and some strategies. So we look forward to it, Tony.
Well, thank you. So first of all, everyone, I want you to share that I spend a lot of time with the Mike Ferry organization, but I'm still a real estate agent at heart. I'm still a prospector at heart. I'm still a practitioner at heart. My whole career was spent selling houses. Just happened to be very connected to the Mike Ferry organization and became a coach for him and a speaker, and then took the VP role for a while, and then actually settled back in because I like selling better. And what we're doing here is selling. Right. So I am a real estate agent at heart, and I'll never lose that desire as an agent. So I'm one of you guys. We're out there every day trying to list and sell property, which is our job. So if you hadn't caught it, Andrew is right on the spot, as he always is, because he has such a pulse on what's going on, that, there's 7 or 8 or 10 buyers a day that are coming into his window that are in a position to buy. The problem is inventory. And you guys in your market have an inventory problem. The entire country still has a major inventory problem. I predict there's about 600,000 buyers in the market today that won't physically be able to buy a house because we can't supply them the inventory. Now, if Mike's on the call, he will say, yes, all this, the environment of it, coming out of COVID, some of the things that have happened, those all play a big role in why our inventory is so short. But he would also say that the other half of the problem is on us realtors. The other half of why the inventory is short is like, it's our fault as realtors that the inventory is short because we won't have enough conversations with enough people about it. Like, I believe that there's going to be tons of people in a year or two that are going to have this conversation with someone agent somewhere. Why didn't someone tell me more aggressively to list my home? Like, why didn't somebody, really address my issues about wanting to wait and convince me to sell? It's like this. You guys remember what the market was like in 2009, 10, 11? Do you guys remember how low the prices had come down? Okay. Do you wish somebody had made you buy some more houses back then? Right? Looked at you in the eye and said, buy some houses. Well, if we had all bought, 10, 15, 20 more homes in 2009 and 10, how much would they be worth today? Right? I had a friend that bought 108 FHA foreclosures in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. And he's probably the smartest man on earth because he sold them all 2 years ago. Okay, so you imagine that increase in value. Well, it's the same thing today for the public. Somebody's going to say, I wish somebody had a stronger conversation with me about selling now versus later. I wish they'd overcome my objection about wanting to wait a few more years. So part of the inventory problem is on our shoulders. And then we have to look at it specifically, like me personally. I want you to ask yourself, am I doing everything in my power to solve my own inventory problem? Because you have control of your own inventory. It's not what's going on out there. Like we say this in MFO all the time. The market has no bearing on whether you achieve your goals or not. The market has nothing to do whether you achieve your goals. The market will only tell you what you have to do to achieve your goals. So the market's going to point you in a direction. Now, the caveat to that is the market doesn't care if you like what it's telling you. That's the hard part, right? The market doesn't determine my goals. It only tells me what I have to do to hit my goals, and it doesn't care if you like what you have to do. And that's the hard part because we're going to ask you to do some things that are uncomfortable. But if you do a lot more things that are uncomfortable, you'll list more properties. And if you list more properties, you'll sell them all. So think about this right now. If I magically gave everyone on this webinar 50 listings right now, would you have a good year? If I magically gave everybody, you get 50 and if I was Oprah Winfrey, you get 50 and you get 50 and you get 50. If I gave everybody 50 listings right now, you would have a banner year, wouldn't you? So we all know that having a listing is the thing to do, right? What you're going to find us talking about in MFO a lot about is understanding that the last 2 or 3 years drove a lot of people off the basics of selling real estate. COVID and all those things, it drove a lot of people off the basics because you could quite honestly do a little less and make a lot of money. And a lot of agents in 2020, 2021, 2022 made a lot of money and they didn't follow a lot of the basic principles, but they still made a lot of money. I know you guys have all heard the old adage, high tides, rising tides lift up all the boats. The good agents and the bad agents. The high tides lifts up everybody. But that doesn't mean all those boats were designed for rough weather. Okay, so the high tides raised everybody up, but that doesn't mean your ship was built to handle rough seas. They just printed a little thing. They expected about a 10 to 15% decline in the number of agents this year. So we raised up to 1.6 million realtors. Okay. Think about it. There's probably going to be 10, 12, maybe even 15% of those realtors won't be here at the end of this year. Okay. At the end of last year, they predicted that we would have almost 7 million sales this year. Okay. And then they turned around full circle coming out this year and said, we'll probably have around 5 million sales this year. Okay. I've been studying it for a long, long time. I'll tell you this. There are 5 million people that have to move every year. And the reason I know that is in the worst markets, When I was selling in the mid 80s to 1989, when it got hot, there were about 5 million sales. It went to almost 6 million in 1989 and 90 when it got red hot. Then it dropped off again, a little downturn. Every downturn, there's 5 million people that have to sell. And every upswing, there's pushing up to 6 million people that sell. It's just what happens in ups and downs markets. So there's going to be, 10 million commission checks paid this year. How many do you want? There's plenty if we do what it takes, okay? So I put it like this. The first thing you have to accept is going back to the basics. The basic principles of listing property have always been the same, and they're going to stay the same, okay? You have to consider going back to the basics. It's like this. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And the basic principles of selling real estate have always been there. So I'm going to give you the 7 basic principles right out of the gate, okay? The 7 basic principles of listing a lot of homes. Number 1, find qualified people each day that want to sell. Find qualified people each day that want to sell. Now I'm going to ask you to grade yourself, like really grade yourself on each of these rules on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you grade yourself on finding people every day that want to sell? It's a tricky one. Well, not every day, right? When you mean like 2 days a week, I mean, I don't know what you're thinking, like every day? Yes, every day, people that want to sell, okay? And we think about things like this. If that rule is true, most of us believe it's true, we have 3 options. So under rule number 1, there's 3 options. You can buy business, B-U-Y it, you can buy business. It's a way to find leads. You can buy business, buying leads off the internet, mass mailings, big marketing campaigns, big advertising campaigns. You can buy business. 2, you can wait for it. Like if you ask many, many people, if they're honest, they spend a lot of time waiting for listings to come in. And they do come in. When your past clients calls and, hey, Melanie, I think, gosh, it's time to get my home sold. Let's go. We're moving. Of course, we're going to take that listing. But were we waiting for them to call us? So you have a choice. I can buy most of it. I can wait for most of it, or I can go out and earn most of it. Now in MFO, we don't say never. We think that probably 15% of your listings, you should buy those listings. Buy a few leads, do a little advertising, do a little marketing. It's okay. 15% of your listing should come in from buying it. By the way, when you cut your commission, that's buying listings. That's one example of how you can buy listings. Do you guys have any commission cutters in your market? Have any commission cutters? We'll sell your home for 1%. Well, they're just buying business, aren't they? Right? So you can buy somewhat. I get it. You can wait for some. I appreciate the fact that you want your database to call in every once in a while. They should call in and announce that they want to sell, right? Maybe 10 or 15% of your business, it's okay if it comes from waiting for it. But 85% of your business needs to be found. You go out and find it, right? What we know about the real estate world is normally about 20% of the agents spend the majority of every day looking for listings. About 20% of the total. 80% normally just end up working with buyers. For the last 2 or 3 years, we predict that only 5% of the agents are spending the majority of their day looking for a listing. Only 5% spend the majority of each day looking for a listing. 95% of the buyers of the agents today have gotten sucked into the buyer world. If I always laugh about this, but I think about this incredible group of agents, right? Incredible group of agents. And I'll bet if we all posted the names of our buyers, the buyers we have that we're working with today, if we all posted them on the screen, Bob and Mary Smith, right? James Ellis, we posted all the buyers we're working with. you guys would start seeing all the buyers of yours that everybody else has. When there's no inventory, the buyer's going to call one of you and then call another one of you and another one because they got to find a house. Less than 5% of the agents are spending the majority of their day looking for listings. 95% are spent working with the buyers that are circling around amongst us all. So if you become one of the 5% that spends the majority of your day looking for listings, you'll find listings. There aren't that many people looking. So rule number 1, find people every day. Rule number 2, follow up more aggressively than you're comfortable. The second rule of listing property is you have to follow up more aggressively than you're comfortable. Right? You have to follow up more aggressively. In our world, we're a little different than Andrew. Like Andrew, he gets this so well because as a lender, my wife's a lender as well. They understand that if you don't follow up aggressively, it's over. Like, well, I think I'll pre-qual that buyer tomorrow after when I get back to the office. You can't do that. They know if they don't follow up aggressively, they're going to lose these loans left and right. Why don't we believe that as agents? You know how it goes. Well, I have this lead. They said they want to sell. I tried them this morning. They didn't answer. So I'll call them sometime tomorrow. That's not following up aggressively. If I have a lead today that wants to sell, I'm going to try them 2 or 3 times every day until I talk to them. I can't afford to let them go somewhere else. Right? What does it mean for you to follow up as aggressively as you know how? Do you call seller leads on the weekends? Do you call seller leads after 7 o'clock at night if they didn't answer during the day? Will you try a seller lead 5 or 6 or 7 times if they don't answer? Will you text and email them as well? Or do you try once and let it go? If somebody says to you, it makes a lot of sense, Tony, I want to sell my home. Why don't you give me a call in a couple weeks? Do you flag them in a couple weeks? We recommend that you cut the time in half. If they say 2 weeks, I'm calling them on Friday. If they say a month, I'm calling them a week from Friday. If they say, give me a day or 2, I'm calling them tonight again. Right? So we have to cut the time in half. What does it mean for you to follow up more aggressively than you're comfortable? Okay. Look at the third rule. Qualify them carefully. One thing we cannot do today is spend a lot of time with unmotivated people. This is not a market to spend time with somebody that's been talking about selling their home for 9 years, because we need all the time and energy to go find somebody that is motivated, right? We can't circle around these people for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks that aren't going to sell. We've got to come up with a plan to qualify the leads we get very aggressively for motivation. Our belief is at MFO that once you understand how people behave, like once you really understand how people, us, the public behaves, lead follow-up and qualifying gets really easy because most people like talking about it. Very few people actually do it. So our job is to ask the tough questions. Questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, you cannot hurt my feelings. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are you that you're going to be moved out of this house by 4th of July? How sure are you that you and your family are going to move by 4th of July? Well, I don't know if I can get the right price. And they're not motivated, right? Do people sell their homes for money? Do people sell their homes for money? Our natural answer is yes, but the truth is no. People sell their homes for what they're going to do for the money. Like, what are they going to do with it? How many sellers have you had that took their money and go, wow, look at this, Tony, $200,000. My wife and I are going to look at this money. Let's look at this 200 grand we made. They don't even touch the money anymore. So if we run into somebody that the only reason they would think about selling is for money, then they're not motivated. People sell their homes for what they're going to do with the money. Right? I have 4 kids and we live in a 2-bedroom house. I got to get out of here. I can't stand my husband anymore. I'm getting divorced. We're moving, right? I got a job transfer. I've got moving to Detroit. People sell their homes for what they're going to do for the money. But if we have 10 or 15 unmotivated seller leads, they're not motivated at all, and we keep talking to them about trying to convince them to sell, then all we do is get locked up on those 10 or 15 leads, hoping that something happens. And then you find yourself not prospecting, right? Not doing great lead follow-up with others, and you find yourself only taking a few listings a year. And it's only because you got locked into a bunch of unmotivated people. So we've got to qualify, right? The third rule is we have to qualify them carefully. The fourth basic principle is we have to present to sellers daily. We've got to present to sellers daily. If you want to win in today's world, you've got to learn to present to sellers daily. Well, Tony, I don't have any sellers to present to, right? I made a note. We have a report. If you go to MikeFerry.com, and you go to resources, and you go to a tab that's called reports. There's a report there that's titled Every Possible Way to Find a Listing. Every possible way to find a listing. There's 62 options. You have 62. In fact, you know what I think I'll do? I think Andrew, do you guys, James, do you guys mind if I send you guys this report? And if anybody wants to reach out to you guys directly, you'd send the report to them?
I'll send that out to everyone. Please do. That would be great.
I'll send you a link to that report right after we get done, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, but there's 62 ways to find listings, okay? Now, what I want you to make sure is when you go through the 62 that you don't only select the ones that are easy, that have no rejection attached. You know, buy leads off the internet. Doesn't produce that many listings today, right? Choose some of the sources that have a little bit of rejection attached to them. Okay, here's our top ones. Expired listings. I know there's very few, but there still are some. For sale by owners. I can never figure out why there's no for sale by owner expert in the market. For sale by owners. Oh my gosh, did you know that there's about, in most markets, there's about 15% of the total sales don't go through the MLS right now? Like in most markets, and you guys can check this with your title company and your MLS, most markets have about, okay, so my MLS said there were 6,000 sales last year. And then you go through title and it says there were 7,500 reported transactions. There's like 15% of the sales never get in front of a realtor because they say, I want to sell, and the neighbor says, I'll buy it, and it's over. They just whisper to some friends, hey, I'm going to sell my house. My kids will buy it, right? So they never hit a realtor. That's shame on us. We're not talking to enough people. The sad part about it is, if you look at that 10-15% that sell without us, most of them sell for less money than you could have gotten for them. Sold it to their kids, neighbors' kids for, look like a deal, but you could have got them more. That's because we're not talking to enough people. Right? But anyway, I want everybody to get this 62 ways to find listings, and I want you to choose between 7 and 10 sources. I believe everybody needs 7 to 10 of these, and they need to make 7 to 10 of these sources active. Expireds, for sale by owners, just listed, just sold. Your database. If you're not talking to your database 3 or 4 or 5 times a year and asking for referrals, you're missing it. Okay? Absentee owners. My gosh, people that own rentals right now. You own a rental today, okay? My rental market has been solid, but now I'm getting hammered in the stock market. I got to sell something. What do they choose? The rentals. Right? My stock market guy is saying I should put more money in because stocks are down, so put more money in. Well, I think I'm going to sell some of these rentals at top dollar and take that cash and put it in the stock market low, and I'm going to make a fortune. Well, if we don't have that conversation with absentee owners, we're missing out. VRBOs, okay? there's some articles out. I don't know about your market, but in Southern California, where I live, okay, there's articles that are published that say the VRBO market has become saturated. So what happened is everybody decided to buy a VRBO during COVID. And the VRBO rates were going up, up, up like this, right? Everybody had one. Well, if you talk to most of these VRB owners, well, Tony, I was renting it for 15 days a month. It was awesome. $400 a day, 15 days a month. This was incredible. Oh, now it's 12 days a month. Not happy with that. Now it's 10 days a month. Now I'm only renting my VRBO for 6 days a month, and I had to drop my price because they're everywhere. I would call every single person that owns a VRBO and ask them if they want to buy more, if they want to sell what they have, right? If they want to exchange what they have for something better, right? VRBOs is going to be one big one, okay? Seniors, senior citizens. They've been on hold for almost 4 years. Okay. They want to sell. COVID comes. I can't sell in COVID. Where am I going to go? I don't want to die. I don't want to get sick. I can't sell. 2.5 years later. Okay. Now I feel safe. It's time to sell. I would definitely get lists of anybody that's owned a home for more than 30 years. And I would be calling every single one of those people and ask them what their long-term plans are. That's been a group of people that normally would have provided us probably, I want to say probably 6, 7, 800,000 sales a year. Normally comes from seniors transitioning to assisted living, retirement, death, want to travel the motorhome, whatever. And that got put on hold for almost 3 years. What are those people going to do? They're going to move. So I would be calling any of the long-term ownership stuff, okay? VRBOs, probates. Boy, if there isn't a probate expert, you need to become a probate expert. We have agents that are doing 20, 30, 40 listings a year from probates. Talk to all the probate attorneys, get a hold of all the trusts, the probate, the estates, and call the executors of the estates and start helping these people that are in probate. Huge source of listings today. It's enormous. You know that our population, there's a window of people, baby boomers, and there's that window of people that are coming through the system right now. They're getting to the age where they're getting older, more are passing away. They want to get in the motorhome. If we're not involved, okay, trust attorneys. Oh my gosh. The first place that the kids go to when mom passes away is they go to the trust attorney and say, what do I do with mom's stuff? What do I do? And you want to be the person they say, call Jay. He knows how to get your property sold, right? Trust attorneys, probate attorneys. Gosh, it just like, man, I feel like traveling to Boston, start making some calls right now. I'm getting excited. Okay. But we have to go on presentations daily. Okay. Look at the 5th rule. The 5th rule, these are the basic rules of selling. The 5th rule, we need to learn to close people for a signature or for an appointment. Okay, we've got to learn to look people in the eye, hold the contract like this, smile on your face, pen in your hand like this. Sign the contract, please. Sign the contract, please. Please go ahead and sign the contract. If we as a salesperson can't look someone in the eye and say, go ahead, sign the contract, our competitors are willing to do that. So have you lost any listings this year by just missed it by an inch? You were there, you presented, they said, get back to me in a day or two. You went back to your office and then you called them and they said, no, sorry, we listed with somebody else. We can't afford those today. Man, we cannot afford to miss. So we've got to learn to look people in the eye and sign the contract, please. I ask this all the time, and only you can be honest with yourself about this. How often in the last 18 months have you said those exact words like that? How often? Well, I kind of do it like this. Hey, so what do you think? Thinking like we're going to be a match, you and I? Are we compatible? What do you think? Do you think we should maybe start considering, I don't know, should you list it with me? That's not going to work today. We have to look people in the eye and go, I'm the right person for the job, sign the contract so I can get started. If we can't have that courage to do that, we're going to miss opportunities. You know, I actually believe that there's sellers that are going to be mad that we didn't do that. They're going to look us in the eye someday and they go, Tony, why didn't you push me in the back? I didn't realize how great this was. Why didn't you give me a shove? I wished I'd sold 2 years ago. We got to be that type of person today. Okay. F on this list, we're looking at these rules. Okay. Handle objections. Okay. We have got to, at some point, become a master of handling objections. If we don't master handling objections, that in the course of a year, we go backtrack and look at the business we lose. Has anybody lost a deal in the last year, a listing, because they didn't follow up aggressively? Did you lose one because you didn't follow up aggressively? Has anybody lost one because somebody said they wanted to cut the commission and you didn't handle it and they listed with a commission cutter? Anybody here lose one because they said they had a friend in the business and they're going to maybe consider their friend? Okay. Anybody consider, say, we want to wait a few months and then the neighbor buys it out from underneath you? Anybody here have someone say, you know, we want to list way up here, way high, like clear out of bounds and see what happens? And then they list with somebody that's willing to do that. If you add it all up, you lose a listing here because of lead follow-up. You lose a listing here because they have a friend. You lose a listing here because there's a commission cutter. And at the end of the year, you lose 10 or 12, 14 listings a year over objections. At some point, we have to accept the personal responsibility for handling objections. At some point, we have to become good at it because it's not hard. Is anybody here hoping for some new objections? Like new ones? You know, maybe 2023, they're going to have a new objection. They use the same objections. Like we've had the same, I've been selling real estate for 34 years now, and we've had the same objections from the day I started to today. They're the same objections. The question is, are you getting better at handling them? It's a basic principle of real estate. We've got to learn how to handle the tough objections. And then the last one is the toughest basic principle of all. This is the toughest one of all. We have to start over each day at the top of this list. We have to learn to start over at the top of this list each day. Okay. Now I'm convinced, and I want you answer this for yourself, okay? Because our agents fall in one of two categories. You're either on one side of the fence or the other. Okay, you're either an agent that gets knocked off their square and they get set back for too many days. Like you have something really good. Oh, I'm getting a listing, Tony. On Friday, I'm getting a listing. I got this listing. It's 1.2 million. I've been wanting this thing. I'm getting it. And then on Thursday night, you get a call. No, we sold it to the neighbors. Ah! And you go into a pit of despair for 10 days. That side of the fence. Or the other side of the fence. Tony, I got a listing, 1.2. I sold it. I'm so excited. So I don't do anything for 10 days. Okay. You either fall on one side or the other. Either you get too bruised by something bad or you celebrate too long by something good. And either one of those cost you a fortune. So we want you to start over at the top of the list every day. So what if you're to critique yourself? What if you give yourself a grade? Okay. So how do I grade myself on finding people every day who want to sell? What's my score? How do I grade myself on following up more aggressively than I'm comfortable? What's my score? How would I grade myself on pre-qualifying everybody looking for motivation? What's my score? How would I grade myself on going out on presentations every day? What's my score? How would I grade myself on my closing skills and my ability to close for an appointment or close for a signature? What's your score? How would I grade myself on handling objections? What's your score? And how would I grade myself on starting over every single day at the top of this list? What if there was a little panel of judges, and every day when you walked home, 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, you walked in your front door and there was a panel of judges sitting there and they had their notebook out. Okay, let's see, Patricia, let's see. Finding motivated people that want to buy and sell every day. I'm going to give you a score of 4. Following up daily. You did a good job. I give you an 8. What if you were critiqued on it daily? What if you were graded daily on those 7 principles? Would you sell more real estate? We believe that you would sell more real estate if you followed the fundamentals of selling a lot of real estate. Okay, if you don't follow the fundamentals, where do you go from there? Right? Where do you go? All right. So what I want us to first do is consider that. Okay. Let's make sure that the basic principles get put back in play. Right. COVID pushed a lot of people off the basics. We want you to get back on the basic principles. Okay. So I wrote down this thought. Okay. Right now, your business is where it is. Your business is where it is. You're either on pace for the goals you set out to achieve, you're behind on the goals you set out to achieve, or you're ahead on the goals you set out to achieve. I want you to decide right now where you are. I want you to just decide, am I on track? Am I behind pace, or am I ahead of pace? You're one of the three. Once you've decided, there's not much you can do about that from the past, can you? There's not much you can do about that. What you can do is decide how you're going to behave going forward from here. And our job is to decide how to behave going forward. So I want you to write down 3 words. Write the word action, action. Write the word reaction, reaction. And write the word mindset. Mindset. Action, reaction, mindset. Okay. Now, this is not just for real estate. This is in life too. Were you guys aware that those are the only 3 things that you really have control of? The only 3 things you have control of are the actions you take, the way you react to things that happen, and your overall mindset. That's all you have control over. Everything else is somebody else. Okay, at MFO, we say this a lot. Okay, you're going to hear us a lot. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Okay, there's a lot of stuff we don't have control over. Do you guys have control of the interest rates going up? Okay, you have control of how you react to the interest rates going up. Oh, you go on the phone tree chain with all your other realtors. Oh my God, the interest rates are up. Can you believe it's up? All right. You react like that, it's not going to help, right? Can you control how few listings there are out in the marketplace? You can't control how many are out there. Can you control how many you have? 100%. You can control how many listings you have. Okay. Can you control your actions? Do you know the right actions? I'll give you an example. We believe that 70% of your day, let's say you work a 10-hour day, okay? 7 out of 10 hours need to be spent on finding listings. 7 out of 10 hours. If you work a 10-hour day, 7 out of 10 hours need to be spent on finding listings. 3 out of 10 hours need to be spent on admin, dealing with the files and the paperwork and all that garbage, and with buyers. Okay, but if you spend 70% of your time on listing property, your schedule should already be set for 70% of your day. So I'll just give you the actions. Okay, here's what we recommend. Okay, now this is going to make a lot of you irritated. Okay, but it's okay, because I'd rather have you irritated and rich than poor and happy. Okay, I want you to be a little irritated. We recommend that you get to the office no later than 7:30 in the morning, because you got work to do. You got work to do. Okay, we recommend from 7:30 to 8 o'clock, you role play and practice your scripts, dialogues, and objection handlers. We recommend that you do 30 minutes of intense practice on these objection handlers, these scripts, these dialogues, these techniques, these skills. From 8 to 11, we recommend that you prospect for sellers. We recommend that you work all of the sources that you have. Like, here's an example. I work with a guy named Hal Swayze. Hal Swayze does 175 deals a year. Okay. Hal has a team. He has 5 agents on his team and 2 staff people. Okay. They live in San Luis Obispo, California. And he's been a 150 to 200 deal producer for 30 years almost. Unbelievable. Okay. But Hal Swayze, when he starts, he prospects from 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday. And here's what it looks like to him. It's actually a couple minutes to 8. At 5 minutes to 8, he calls any new expireds. There's only 1 or 2. 5 minutes to 8, any new expireds. As soon as he's done with new expireds, he calls any new for sale by owners. Usually only takes 5, 10, 15 minutes. There's not many. All new expireds, all new for sale by owners. As soon as he's done with those 2, he talks to 10 of his past client and center of influence. He calls 10 of his past clients and asks them for referrals and asks them if they need anything. Talks to 10 of his past clients. As soon as he's done with that, he talks to 5 absentee owners. The landlords, small investors. He talks to 5 of those. As soon as he's done with that, he calls around all of any listing or sale he makes. He will talk to 10 of the neighbors. So if he takes a listing, he'll talk to 10. If he makes a sale, he'll talk to 10. So as soon as he's done with the investors, he will talk to 10 just listed or just sold, whichever it is. Okay. As soon as he's done with that, he goes back to any hot leads, back to any new expireds and any new FSBOs that didn't answer this morning and tries them for the second time. And it's usually 11 or 11:30. And he's usually talked to between 30 and 35 people. He runs that prospecting routine every day. So we recommend that. It works. Okay. From 11 to 12 o'clock, admin. All you've got to do is much of your admin, return calls, call the seller, paperwork, research, admin, files, right? From 11 to 12, admin. From 12 to 1, lunch, regroup. From 12 to 1 o'clock, have lunch, regroup. Take a little break. It's a long day. 1 o'clock to 1:30, lead follow-up. 1 to 1:30, follow up on any leads again. This will be your 3rd try for the day of any leads you have. You're going to try 3 times already. Okay. 1:30 to 2:30, finish admin. From 1:30 to 2:30, you have to finish any research, any remaining calls, any paperwork, get that termite thing solved, whatever. You've got from 1:30 to 2:30 is to finish admin. Okay. From 2:30 till the end of day, you're either previewing property, working on your presentation, working on your listing presentation, getting better at a presenter. Okay. More prospecting, or on an appointment with an active buyer or active seller. From 2:30 till quitting time. And then what we've added in is between 6:30 and 7 p.m. daily lead follow-up. Between 6:30 and 7 p.m. daily, your 4th round of lead follow-up for the day. Anybody here not have a full schedule now? Okay. We believe that every real estate agent on Monday through Friday should operate from a completely full schedule all day long. Anybody here guilty of having their schedule blank unless they have an appointment in there? Like their phone says, nothing, but I have a buyer appointment at 2 o'clock today, but everything else is empty. It's not a full listing schedule, is it? So what we recommend is you create an action-based schedule for yourself that covers what you need to do to list properties. So I really want you to ask yourself, if you followed that schedule Monday through Friday for say 200 days in a year, do you think you'd take enough listings? You'd take enough listings. And in this market, if you take enough listings, they're all going to sell. You're going to get paid more money than you've ever been paid. Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we do that? Now, the only thing I would say is a change is Hal does all of his prospecting by phone. You might choose to switch between phone and doors. You could do door knocking, same stuff, but you could do door knocking or phones. Either one's fine. Has anybody here ever watched a squirrel in the wintertime? You guys ever watch squirrels? These gray squirrels? You guys have squirrels around there? You got these squirrels? You know, you watch people, they put this bird feeder out, right? So they put a bird feeder out, and the bird feeder is to feed birds. I want to feed the birds. So I put this bird feeder up on a stake, hanging out over this thing on a stake. Here's this bird feeder with bird seed in it. And the squirrels start coming to attack it. They come in on the wire and they come up the pole and they jump off the roof. Squirrels will do just about anything to get to that bird food, won't they? Like they'll, like you watch a squirrel, no, like you watch people, they like grease the pole so the squirrel can't climb up the pole, and they hang it out over a ledge, and next thing you know, the squirrel's sitting on top of this thing eating all the food because they want to eat. We should be like that as listing agents, right? One little rejection. I'm going home, right? That guy said, no, I'm not doing that for sale by owner anymore. How would the squirrel behave? How would the squirrel behave? One for sale by owner says, I hate realtors. I'll never use you. Go back and find another way. If we recognize supply and demand, anybody besides me wish they owned one of those little chip manufacturing companies? Like anybody wish they'd owned a toilet paper? Who still has toilet paper in their closet? Does anybody still have toilet paper in your closet? Like we have the rental house in the mountains and we have one at the ocean. Okay. Both of those houses, you open the door and you get killed by the toilet paper that flies out of there. Like, how much toilet paper? I wished I owned a toilet paper factory. Oh my gosh, those people are all floating around on yachts right now, right? Supply and demand. Right now, why would I spend a lot of time circling around unmotivated buyers when there's no supply? Should spend every waking hour trying to fill the demand, which is to work on the supply chain, which is listing property. Like literally, we should become obsessed with listing property right now. If we do, we list a lot of homes and we move on. Okay. I guarantee you, we have to think about pipeline. Okay. Whatever your goals are, and I don't care. Let's say you were going to do 36 deals this year. Well, how much does somebody, James, maybe you can help with me in that. How much, what's the average sales price in the center part of your market? Do you know what the average sales price is, James?
I don't know, 1.3, 1.4 million.
Yeah, 1.3, 1.4. I love you guys to have these numbers out there. I grew up in a market with an average price of 400 grand. It got up to 500 in this last raising deal. Okay. But at 1.1, when you sell a listing, how much is your commission check? 30 grand? Right? You would have to like pry me off the phones and doors if I got paid 30 grand every time I rang the bell with a listing. Like sometimes you have to ask yourself, what is the challenge? Am I being enough of a squirrel? But if you don't understand the pipeline, if you don't have listings today, I guarantee you have two things. If you don't have listings today, I guarantee you have two things. One, you have time. I guarantee you have time. And two, I guarantee you have misery. If you don't have listings today, I guarantee you time and misery, because there's nothing more painful than not knowing where your next commission check is coming from. It's probably one of the most painful things a salesperson can experience. I've been there. I know how painful that can be. It's torture to not know where your next check is coming from. Okay, so if you get a buyer today, Andrew gets them fully qualified, are you guaranteed to get paid in 30 days? Not today. You're going to start, like, how long does it take, even with a qualified buyer, to find something that matches and get in and actually win the deal? What's it take? 60, 90, 120 days? If you get a listing today, how soon are you getting paid? 45 days, you're paid. Guaranteed, paid. So why wouldn't we spend a majority of our time? And if you like to work on buyers today, is it common knowledge that a buyer has been trained to go straight to the listing agent if they want a chance? Have they been trained? Buyers have been trained to go straight to the listing agent. If they want to buy the house, go straight to the listing agent, because that's my best shot of getting this done. you'll double side more transactions than ever because buyers come rushing to the new listing. They've been trained. So we have to become listing agents. Make sense? So I had this other little series of thoughts because we started to add up what's been working. Let me give you this real quick. This is from all of our top producers. Okay, this is a little short list that I want to give you in our time left together today. Okay, there's a short list of what the top producers in MFO, okay, have come back to us and said, here's the adjustments I've made to win listings today. And they may sound a little off, but you'll hear it. Okay, the first one is preparing the night before. The agents that are listing a lot of property today are spending a lot more time on, tonight preparing for tomorrow. Who am I going to call? Let's get my admin in order. Let's make sure I've got my plan of attack for tomorrow laid out. I can't just run in there and bounce around like a ping pong ball. I need to be prepared. So they've all reverted back to preparing the night before. 2, they wrote down, have an actual listing goal. Do you know how many agents today have no listing goal whatsoever? How many listings are you going to take in the first quarter? As many as I can get? That's not a number. How many listings? Like, you have got to set a goal. We believe, if you follow what we do, that every person watching this can take 2 listings a month minimum. Minimum. Every person watching this could take 2 listings a month if you follow that schedule I gave you. But if you don't have a goal, how many are you going to take? So they all wrote, I've got to get stronger with my listings taken goal. I have an agent right now that went back to goal setting for listings, and he sent me a picture, and I go, okay, what's this? And he said, okay, I'm back on my goals. His goal is to take 1 listing a week. So yeah, he set out for the first quarter when we started this year, and he sent me a picture with 12 lock boxes sitting in the middle of his desk, right in the middle of his desk, 12 lock boxes all lined up. And next to that was 16 listing packages. He needs a packet. He uses a package when he goes on a listing appointment. So he prepared the listing packages in advance. The only thing he needs to do is put in the comps, right? So he's prepared with 16 listing packages and 12 lock boxes right in the center of his desk. I said, are you going to leave those there when clients come in? He goes, yes. I want them to ask me what they're there for. I want to tell them I'm going to take 12 listings this first quarter. And guess what? He's at 9 right now. A little behind, but he's at 9 listings taken so far this year because he's set a goal. Okay. Next, I wrote down, I believe every person here needs to talk to no less than 20 people a day, asking for a seller. 20 people, 20 contacts per day, 5 days a week minimum. You got to talk to 100 people a week and ask them who they know that would like to sell and when do you plan on moving. Right? Think about our basic script. When do you plan on moving? How long have you lived at this address? Where'd you move from? How'd you happen to pick this area? If you were to move, where would you go next? Obviously, you realize in this market it could take 3 to 6 seconds to get your home sold. We catch that? 3 to 6 seconds. Okay. But we have a basic script that's designed to have you take a listing. You got to talk to 20 people a day. They wrote this one down. To succeed today, you have to make your morning routine untouchable. Your morning routine from the time you wake up until noon has got to become untouchable, because that's when you find sellers. From the time you wake up till noon, that's when we ask you to prospect, do most of your lead follow-up, do your skills improvement practice, right? Follow up on everything. Like, from the time you wake up until noon has got to become untouchable. I wrote next to that, go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, and report to the office at 7:30 a.m. Anybody here find themselves a little more sporadic with what time they go to bed these days? I don't know about you guys, but COVID has changed people's systems. Like, we find agents staying up until 1 o'clock in the morning now. They never used to do that. Go to bed on time. Anybody here a little unpredictable when they show up to their office? Well, I show up sometime between 8 and never, right? right? We want you to show up at the same time every single day because you can get so much more done if you're there in the morning and you report to work. Is anybody here a little hesitant to go back to their office? Do you know what your brokers are going through today? I have all this beautiful space. I pay all this money. You demand massive commissions from me on everything you do. You want 100% if you want to even talk to me, right? I have all this brick and mortar. I go to the office and I can't get anybody to show up there. Okay. Do you think that your office is going to thrive in that environment? I think many people need to go back to work. Okay. It's been proven that you work better from an office than you do from home. Okay. My nephew is a high executive for LinkedIn. Okay. He's been an executive there for 15 years, 12 years. And they sent everybody home during COVID, and they told them that they were going to work from home for the rest of their life. Now they're making them all come back to work or they don't have a job there anymore because the productivity was great for a while and then went like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. It was fun in the beginning, but now Oprah's on. I'm working, but Oprah's on. I got a load of laundry to do. I think I'll do some laundry. I think I'll start dinner. It's not reporting to your desk and working. We got to report back to work. This one I wrote down. 1 evening per week and 2 Saturdays per month prospecting. The top producers are all saying that you need to spend 1 evening per week, from 6 to 7:30 at night prospecting, and 2 Saturdays a month, not in an open house, prospecting. Prospecting. We need the bonus time. They made one other note here. They said that if you want to succeed today, you have to control all of your admin. To succeed today, you have to control your admin. If you don't control your admin, if admin takes all day long, you don't have time to generate. You've got to take your admin and squeeze it into 2 little blocks of time. All of it. All the calls, all the paperwork, all the stuff. We all have stuff. You got to squeeze it down. It can't take over the whole time. Okay. So you guys, I believe everyone here watching today is an elite agent. Thank you to Andrew and James. They are elite, an elite broker, if you will, for us with MFO. And they did this as an incredible service to you guys. So you get all of this stuff that we're doing and you can attend any of our events. Like we have 2 brokers, okay, that have 2 lender brokers that have made a commitment like this to become elite agents for us. And Andrew is one of them. Okay. So first of all, you need to thank him when you see him for this, because lenders don't do this stuff. Okay. They just don't. And Andrew is doing this. Okay. You get to go to any of the events that we do. If you go to our website, we've got events scattered around the country. You guys get to go to any event that we do for half price. So I would recommend that you schedule and go see Mike Ferry live. Okay. Some people call Mike Ferry the GOAT of real estate. Okay. He's been doing it for 50 years at a high level. And we have more multi-million-dollar trained agents than any other coaching company out there. We think we're good at what we do. So go see him live while he's out doing this work. Right. Any thoughts you guys have, Andrew? Any wrap-up thoughts that we have today?
Sell more houses, get more listings.
Right.
That's simple. Yep.
I got to tell you, you think about a lender talking about listing property, a smart guy, because he knows that if you list properties, all of these buyers that he has pre-qualified are going to get a house. He wins, you win, everybody wins. So would everybody right now at this moment commit to being a strong listing agent? Commit. If you do, you'll list a lot of properties. Okay. Thanks as always, Andrew. James, I'll send that link over to you, James, for that every way to find a listing.
Yeah,
Reach
please do.
James,
That'd
if
be
you didn't
great.
write it down. Be sure and connect with Andrew about this. He's a guy that you want in your corner for sure.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
Thanks, guys. I'll get that out to everybody as well. I appreciate it, Tony. Thanks so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.